Hi, I'm Bill Sanders, and this is WatchArtSci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to talk about the companies that own the watch companies. The largest number is independent, as we'll see in a second, but a lot of times people wonder, well, how come this is, who owns this or who's making this do what? Well, today we're going to take a look at that. And I'm going to be posting a paper for you that has all of the ownerships and organized in terms of their winning the Grand Prix de Horologie de Genève. Now that's important because a lot of times you say, well, is this a serious company in terms of high horology, or is this just a fashion company? I think you may be surprised by some of the results. Okay, let's get started. The first one we're going to look at are the independents. And the independents have a total of 69 wins of Grand Prix awards of different types. So let's take a look and see what we've got here, some of the ones we have. One I've got here is Audemars Piguet. Audemars Piguet has won a total of 9 awards, and it has won more than any other watch company around. And this is an example. This is the day, date, moon phase. Audemars Piguet keeps perfect time. It's a wonderful watch. I love it. And another one most people know about is a total of 6 is Patek Philippe. I have one of these too. Now I want to get one of all of them, but I'll be in the poorhouse before I do that. Some of the other ones are Breitling. Now Breitling hasn't won any of the Grand Prix awards, and it's owned by the Schneider family. But because it's owned by a family with a name other than Breitling doesn't mean it's not independent, because it is. Some of these you may be surprised on the watch branch. Chanel, which has won 2 awards, by the way, is also an independent. So is Chopard. Let me see some of the other ones. FB Zorn won 7 Grand Prix and has won the top Grand Prix awards more than any other watch company 3 times. So there are a lot of different companies that are independents that are very high horology. Little ones like Harboring 2 has won 3 awards. Even what we think of as fashion companies like Fabergé has won one. So next group we're going to look at, now this is a true group, it's called the Richemont Group, and watches in this group have won 39 Grand Prix awards, and it's probably the most per watch of any of the companies. Some of the ones that are in this company, one of my favorite, this is a ladies mechanical reverso by Jaeger-LeCoultre. This is owned by the Richemont. Another one is the one I got on. This is my overseas. This is by Vacheron Constantin, and this watch is another one of my favorite, is the 1972 model. It's called 1972 because in 1972, Vacheron Constantin had won the Prestige de France, and they're the only watch company, at least up to that time, that had ever won that. So, A. Lange Söhne is also part of it. Let me see some of the other ones. IWC, great big, well-known watch company. And, interestingly, IWC has not yet to win any of the Grand Prize de Horologie. I don't know why, but they haven't. Panerai has won one. Cartier has won quite a few. They've won 6. And Montblanc, they're also part of the Richemont Group. Okay. The next group is one that probably is, in a way, more surprising to have won as much as they have, because they are probably considered more of a fashion watch group than one that has anything approaching high horology. Okay, this is called the Monet Hennessy Louis Vuitton Group, or LVMH. Now, this group has won a total of 19 awards, and there aren't that many companies, watch companies, that are a part of it. So they get a pretty high percentage too. These include some ones we usually associate with fashion, such as Bulgari and Louis Vuitton, of course. But it also has watch companies like Hublot that's won 5, and Tag Heuer that's won 7 awards, and Zenith watches that have won 6. So here is another group that, while we may think of them in terms of fashion, they won their share of high horology awards, of the Grand Prix awards. Okay, now this next group is a huge one, sort of the gorilla in the room, is the Swatch group. And a lot of times people think, well, the Swatch group doesn't have anything very interesting going on except a bunch of cheap watches that they throw in a quartz movement and everybody runs down and buys them. That's not true. They won a total of 18 Grand Prix awards, and they have some very good companies as far as high horology is concerned. Blancpain, for example, Breguet, Harry Winston. Okay, now they own ETA, and that was the gorilla in the living room, so to speak. And the watches, some watches have won awards using ETA eyebrushes, a combination of what are called ETA Valjoux awards. For example, harboring 2 of the 3 awards they won, 2 of them were seriously reworked ETA Valjoux eyebrushes. Okay, so even though Swatch is a maker of what you might call popular low-cost watches, they also have some serious high horology in there too. This next group is a French group called the Kering Group, and it's won 6 Grand Prix awards. And they have some of the better known ones they have would be like Girard-Perregaux and let's see, Gucci. Gucci's only won 1 award, but it's extremely well known. Ulysse Nardin. They have in the Kering Group. They're more of ones that are recognized for fashion, but they do have ones like Girard-Perregaux, that an old watch company that's been around for a long time. In fact, they were part of the movement in my Vacheron Constantin was from Girard-Perregaux. Okay, the next group has a lot of watch companies in it. Only one of them, though, has won any of the Grand Prix awards. The whole group has won a total of 4. In their back, they're also a Swiss company called the Frank Mueller Group. And this group is Frank Mueller has won 4 awards. The other ones haven't won any. And I think that they tend to be more fashion watches and high horology. But when a company's won 4 Grand Prix awards, it's a serious high horology company. And Frank Mueller has won those. Okay, the next group is Seiko, a Japanese group, and they've won 3 awards, and they're all for the Seiko and Grand Seiko brands. So this is something that the Japanese make some fabulous movements. They really can do things very, very well. And I expect to see them in the future, to keep an eye out for them. This next group is a really interesting one. It's called the Festina Group, and it's Spanish. Now, they've won only 1 Grand Prix award, and it was in 2001 when they had their first awards. And this is a company called LVMH. And LVMH it's spelled like Leroy, and I think most people, not most, but some people mispronounce it that way, but we don't want to do that. So LVMH, or El Lara, is really a company that's a lot of people haven't heard about, and including watch collectors, or if they've heard about it, they don't know much about it. Well, it may be one of the oldest watch companies around. It's a French company. It was the watchmaker to the kings of France. Queen Victoria had ordered these, and on up until de Gaulle after World War II. Several well-known French artists like Matisse had these watches. Now, this particular one is interesting because it was one of the finalists in the first Grand Prix Awards, and it lost to Vacheron Constantin's almost $1 million Lady Kala, one of the most beautiful jewelry watches ever made. But this watch, as you can see, it doesn't look like it has a lot of jewelry, but it's got some serious gold, and as well as on the inside, gold and jewels. And so it was one of the finalists in the jewelry award. This is going to be interesting to see what happens with Festina, because they own a movement company named Sopra. This is a Swiss movement company. And what they're going to do is taking over a lot of the things that ETA has. Some companies already have them. There's this little independent in Iceland, I think they call it J&S. They have, there's only one watch company in Iceland, and they use it, and they have an A10 automatic. It's a very, very nice, nice one. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to El Lora. And by the way, too, instead of calling it El Lora, there's now just Lora. L was for Louis, so that's gone now, too. An American group that has won is the Movado group, and the Concord watch won that. It's Concord, Ebel, and Movado. Now, the rest of the groups, there's the Benda group, which is Italian. They haven't won any yet. Citizen group from Japan, they haven't either. They make, like they have Bulova watches, and of course they have Citizen. Then they have Harley Davidson as well. The Fossil group, this is one that sells a lot of watches, but they don't have anything that has won anything in the high horology. They have some watches that have been around for a while, pretty well known, like Zodiac, that they might think about having one for that. Another American group is Timex. They have Guess watches, Nautica. This is more Versace. This is more of a fashion group, and they haven't won any either. There's one in Hong Kong called the City Champ Group, and they own Quorum, Dreyfus and Company, Turna. They haven't won anything yet. I think they're more fashion, a lot of quartz watches in that. Now, one I think that is going to be very interesting to keep an eye on is the Tianjin Seagull. Now, they make 1/4 of all of the world's, not just China's, but the whole world's, because China may have 1/4 of the population that wears automatic watches. They have a single brand called Seagull. So that's an easy one to remember, the Tianjin Seagull Group. And they spelled Seagull, SEA-GULL, rather than one word, which is, I guess, sort of interesting. Anyhow, those are the main groups of watch sort of holding companies that own all of these different brands that we use all the time. And by looking at the ones with the most high horology awards, we can get an idea of their direction. Okay, that's it for now. This has been Bill Sanders and WatchArtSci. Let's hear your opinion. They got some interesting things coming up, especially like who's going to replace a lot of the ETA eyebrushes, and will more companies start making their own in-house? That's all for now. Bye-bye.